You've probably heard of black holes. They're the terrifying, mysterious, reality-warping monsters of space that devour everything, including light itself. But have you ever wondered, how do they actually form? I mean, where do they come from? Is it some sci-fi factory hidden behind a wormhole? Or is it something way more ordinary, but still absolutely insane? Well, to understand how black holes form, we have to start with something surprisingly familiar, a star. But not just any star. We're talking about one of those massive drama queen stars, 20 to 40 times more massive than our sun. These are the cosmic heavyweights, the celebrities of the galaxy. They burn hotter, live faster, and die in ways that would make even the most action-packed Michael Bay movie look tame. So here's how it works. Throughout its life, a star is in a constant tug of war. Gravity tries to pull everything inward, while the nuclear fusion happening in its core pushes outward. That fusion is what keeps the star inflated and stable. It's like blowing air into a balloon that doesn't want to pop, but also doesn't want to collapse. For millions of years, this balance holds. The star fuses hydrogen into helium, then helium into heavier elements. Eventually, it works its way up the periodic table, carbon, oxygen, silicon, until it hits iron, and that's when everything changes. Because here's the thing, fusing iron doesn't release energy like the other elements do. It costs energy. At this point, fusion can't keep up. The core of the star suddenly can't fight off gravity anymore. And gravity, being gravity, doesn't politely take a seat. It slams the whole thing inward. The result? A collapse so fast and violent, it triggers a supernova, a massive explosion that can outshine an entire galaxy. It's nature's version of going out with a bang. Now, depending on how massive that core was to begin with, a few things can happen. If it's not too big, the collapse halts at a neutron star, basically a city-sized ball of neutrons so dense a single spoonful would weigh more than Mount Everest. But if that core is still too massive, gravity just keeps going. No brakes, no stops. It crushes matter past atoms, past protons and neutrons, down into something we don't fully understand, a point of infinite density and zero volume. This is what we call a singularity. Surrounding this singularity is the event horizon, and that's where the real weirdness begins. The event horizon isn't a surface, it's a boundary, a point of no return. Once something crosses it, whether that's a star, a spaceship, or your hopes and dreams, it's gone. Nothing escapes, not even light. That's why it's black. Now, despite what cartoons or sci-fi movies may suggest, black holes aren't holes in the traditional sense. They're not cosmic vacuum cleaners sucking up everything in sight. If our sun were replaced by a black hole of the same mass, Earth's orbit wouldn't change. We just get a lot colder, fast. Still, they are weird, and they come in different sizes. Most black holes we know of are what we call stellar mass black holes, formed from the collapse of massive stars, like we just described. But then you've got the real monsters, supermassive black holes. These things are millions or even billions of times the mass of the sun, and they live at the centers of galaxies, including ours. How do those form? Honestly, we're not sure. Some theories say they started as smaller black holes that grew over time by gobbling up gas, stars, and unlucky planets. Others suggest they formed directly from massive clouds of matter in the early universe. There's even a wild idea about primordial black holes, tiny black holes that might have formed seconds after the Big Bang. We haven't found any yet, but if we do, it could change everything. And here's another twist. Black holes don't just form from stars. In theoretical physics, under the right and ridiculously extreme conditions, it's possible that high-energy particle collisions or even density fluctuations in the early universe could trigger the formation of black holes without needing a dying star. These are just ideas, but they push the boundaries of what we think is possible, and that's exactly what black holes are good at. Now let's say, hypothetically, you're feeling adventurous, and you decide to fall into a black hole. What would that feel like? Surprisingly, not much at first. As you get closer, space stretches and time warps. To an outside observer, it looks like you're slowing down, freezing at the edge. But from your point of view, you're still moving. And then comes the fun part. Spaghettification. Yes, that's a real word, because the gravity near a black hole isn't just strong, it's uneven. If you're falling feet first, the gravitational pull at your feet is much stronger than at your head. That difference stretches you out like a noodle, a very dead noodle. Once you cross the event horizon, all bets are off. No one knows what happens next. Maybe you hit the singularity and get crushed out of existence. Maybe you pop out in another universe. Maybe physics throws up its hands and calls it a day. Our best theories, general relativity and quantum mechanics, just don't agree on what's inside. And that disagreement? That's one of the biggest mysteries in science. But black holes aren't just death traps. They're also incredibly important. Supermassive black holes help shape galaxies. They control the flow of gas, regulate star formation, and may have played a key role in the evolution of structure in the universe. universe. Some scientists even believe that without black holes, galaxies as we know them wouldn't exist. Black holes also give us a way to test our understanding of the universe. When two black holes collide, they send out ripples in space-time called gravitational waves. We've only been able to detect those waves since 2015, but they've already opened a new window into the cosmos. It's like suddenly being able to hear after living your whole life in silence. And then there's Hawking radiation. Stephen Hawking predicted that black holes aren't entirely black. They actually emit a tiny amount of radiation and slowly lose mass over time. That means black holes can evaporate, die, disappear. It also means they're not eternal, which is kind of poetic, right? Except there's a catch. If a black hole evaporates, what happens to everything it swallowed? Is the information gone forever? That's a big no-no in quantum physics, where information is supposed to be conserved. This is known as the black hole information paradox, and nobody has fully solved it yet. But people are trying, desperately. In fact, black holes are now at the center of one of the biggest pursuits in physics, trying to unify general relativity, which handles big things, with quantum mechanics, which handles tiny things. Black holes are where those two worlds collide, literally. If we ever want to discover a theory of everything, chances are black holes will be involved. Some scientists even believe that the universe itself might be a hologram, a projection from a two-dimensional surface at the edge of reality. And guess where a lot of those ideas came from? Yep, black hole physics. Some think black holes might be storing information on their surface, like a cosmic hard drive. Others believe they could be connected by wormholes. One wild theory even suggests black holes might be the seeds of entirely new universes. Yes, that's right, every black hole could contain a baby universe. In short, black holes are not just bizarre, they're central. They're where our best theories go to die. They're the cosmic contradiction that keeps giving. They're terrifying, yes, but also thrilling. Mysterious, but somehow familiar. They're the ultimate reminder that the universe is stranger than we think, and maybe stranger than we can think. So how do black holes form? From stars that die with style, from gravity that refuses to give up, from matter pushed to the brink of existence. They're born in violence, but they live in silence, and they hold the keys to the deepest truths we're still struggling to understand. They're not just the end of something, they might be the beginning. And that, my friend, is how the universe keeps us humble.